When walking around downtown Boston near to Goodneighbor, sometimes you'll see Silver Shroud Radio appear on your Pip-Boy. Silver Shroud Radio is a series of dramatic skits concerning the fictional superhero Silver Shroud and his friend and peer, the Mistress of Mystery. The radio station is run by a ghoul named Kent Connolly from within the memory den of Goodneighbor. Kent Connolly is a Silver Shroud geek who really wants to see his favorite superhero come to life. When you talk to him, he sends you to Hubris Comics to pick up the Silver Shroud costume as part of his scheme to don the costume himself and become a crime fighter. This video is going to deal with just the Hubris comics that we find in Fallout 4. Stay tuned for a future video where I'll go through the Silver Shroud questline and talk about all things Shroud. But for now, let's focus on Hubris Comics. You find Hubris Comics right next to Swan's Pond. The building is swarming with ghouls, and they can hear anything, so you're gonna get rushed pretty much as soon as you enter the building. The first floor is a comic shop, and there's a terminal on the counter that goes through a lot of the shop's financials. It's here that we learn that the Mantis Man comics, for example, did not sell well. They put them in the dollar bin. You can hack the terminal to unlock the case behind you where you find the legendary item Grognak's Axe, a legendary item that has a greater chance to stagger enemies and it causes them to bleed. It also costs less AP when using it in VATS, so it ends up being one of the best medium speed melee weapons in the game. The downside is that the axe can't be modified using a weapons workbench. Don't forget to loot the Unstoppables issue number 5, which is on the same counter as the terminal, opposite to Grognak's Axe. This magazine gives you plus 1% chance of avoiding all damage when you're attacked. There's a key to the storeroom in the cash register, which opens up the back storeroom and the wall safe, where you can usually find a lot of ammunition. The second floor appears to be a writing area where people were producing scripts for comic books, radio, or television. There's a hole in the wall with a corpse inside, and on his body is the scavenger's list. It details a lot of the notable loot inside Hubris Comics, including Grognak's Axe, the 2 magazines that you find in here, and the storeroom on the first floor that you've already unlocked. Interestingly, it mentions Carl and Ken Standish. These 2 characters are part of the whole Treasure of Jamaica Plains side quest. You find their corpses in Jamaica Plain, but those 2 characters are subjects for another video. There are 3 primary terminals in this building that give us the background story about what was going on at Hubris Comics the day the bombs dropped. There's the manager's terminal here on the 2nd floor, and on the 3rd floor we find the writer's terminal inside what appears to be a writer's room, and the producer's terminal, which is behind a locked door, which actually has the skeleton of one of the producers in it. Each of these terminals has emails that were either sent or received by that terminal owner. The best way to go about this is to organize all of the emails chronologically so that we can piece together how this story went about. Let's start at the beginning. Hubris Comics was working on converting their successful comic book and radio show into a TV show. They were working on the pilot episode. On October 11th, 2077, Tina Hopkins, the lead writer for the Silver Shroud television show, sent an email to her manager, Vivian Odell, complaining about some changes that had been made to her script. Apparently, someone above her added an English butler to the television show, which she feels is ridiculous and inappropriate. She urges Vivian, who apparently is an office manager, to bring it up with the lead producer of the show, Pete Shiner. But Vivian is getting ready to go on vacation, and so Tina says that she'll talk with Pete about it if Vivian doesn't get to it first. That same day, Vivian responds to Tina and says that she'll talk with Pete, but she encourages Tina to not get her hopes up. She tries to explain to Tina that what they're doing is translating a radio show to television, which is a very different media. Tina appears to be concerned with the purity of the lore. There's no English butler in the comic book or radio show, so there should be no English butler in the television show. Vivian reminds Tina that television is a very different platform and that the entire success of the Silver Shroud on television rests on this very first episode the pilot. Aaron Babowski, one of the lead producers, has done a lot of testing, and he's discovered that the English butler tests very well with test audiences. And Vivian urges Tina to listen to the producers. On October 14th, Evan Riccelli sends an email to one of the lead producers, Aaron Babowski, saying, "Claire can't wait." Aaron, Peter, and the other producers have cast a young, beautiful redhead named Claire Vidal as the Mistress of Mystery. But Claire is getting antsy. She wants to get to work, but for some reason things are held up over at the Hubris Comics headquarters. It probably has something to do with Tina Hopkins not liking the direction the TV show is going in. Claire's agent is having exploratory dinners with other studios. And so the producers are feeling the heat. They want to get Claire in costume on set as soon as possible. They really don't have time for the numerous revisions and complaints that Tina has with their changes. What complicates this even more is that apparently Tina Hopkins has rights to the character of the Silver Shroud. Apparently Tina had a partner who were the original writers for the Silver Shroud story. Her partner signed over all of his rights to Hubris Comics, but Tina hasn't. Evans is concerned that Tina could be an obstacle. He's worried about Tina going to a lawyer to get what she wants, and he says the only way she's out is if she walks. The next day, Tina continues to cause drama at the Hubris headquarters. She sends another email to her manager, Vivian, complaining about the casting of Claire Vidal, the young, attractive redhead, as the Mistress of Mystery. Apparently, Claire Vidal had starred in a successful movie called The Tomb of Amun-Ra. It grossed a lot at the box office, and so the producers here at Hubris Comics are eager to cast her as the Mistress of Mystery. The only problem is that the Mistress of Mystery has always been a brunette, and Claire is a redhead. Also, Tina complains about Claire's voice. She describes Claire's voice as being shrill, nervous. The Mistress of Mystery is a superhero. She's supposed to sound confident. Now on the radio, the Mistress of Mystery is played by a woman named Shannon Rivers. Tina loves Shannon Rivers. She thinks that Shannon has the confidence of a superhero, she's got the voice, and she's even a natural brunette. The only problem is that she's not as young as Claire Vidal. She thinks, well, a little bit of lighting will take care of that, so what? If Shannon is not in her prime, she's got the voice, she's got the hair, just make sure that you shoot her from the right side. Tina is putting Vivian, the manager, in a tough place. Vivian is getting ready to go on her honeymoon. She's already had to cancel it once to take care of the numerous issues that have been cropping up over the Silver Shroud television pilot. But she does love Shannon, the voice actress for the Mistress of Mystery. She responds to Tina by saying, "Look, Shannon is family. I promise you I will fight for this." She doesn't want to cancel her honeymoon again over it, but she is going to take it directly to the producers and get it done. So the two ladies of the office are kind of matched against the men. The men like the young, saucy redhead Claire. She's looking good in a costume. Ooh la la, have you seen the pictures? The ladies are fighting for the confident but slightly older Shannon. True to her word, Vivian, that very day, sends an email to the lead producer, Aaron Babowski. "It has come to my attention that you've hired Claire Vidal for the role of the Mistress of Mystery," she says, and she proceeds to read Aaron the Riot Act. "This is unacceptable. The Mistress of Mystery has an iconic look. She must be a brunette. She is a strong female protagonist, not some damsel in distress." She argues that they need to hire Shannon to play the Mistress of Mystery on screen. She's done so well on the radio. Surely she'll do a great job for television. This is making Aaron's job harder. The next day, he emails Vivian and says, "Vivi, look, relax. If it's that important to you, maybe we can put Claire in a brunette wig." But he tells her, look, the contract is already signed. This is happening, whether you like it or not. He says, "What is it with you and Shannon Rivers anyway? She's done a great job voicing the Mistress of Mystery on the radio, but this is television. Maybe 20 years ago she would have been a great Mistress of Mystery on screen, but not now. She needs to look good." He says that Shannon has a face for radio. Ouch! Oh, pour some lemon juice on that wound there, Aaron. That's some pretty harsh language. Claire has got star power, he says, and that is what we need. The boys are in all agreement. He and Pete, the lead producers, say, we need the young saucy redhead. We need some romance, and Claire has got the goods. And then he threatens her. He says, look, I know that Tina owns part of the Silver Shroud franchise, and I know that she's a great writer, but look, I've got this guy in Hollywood. He's a class act. I'll fly him down tomorrow. We don't need Tina. But Vivian has got to go on her honeymoon. She's already canceled it once. She can't cancel it again, and she just can't deal with all of this. So she goes directly to the boss, Peter Shiner. He's the lead producer in charge of the entire production, and she complains directly to him. But Peter is not sympathetic. He sends an email to Aaron Babowski 2 days later on the 18th and says, look, I got the photos of saucy redhead Claire in the Mistress of Mystery costume, and she's dynamite. He wants to continue using Claire. He thinks Aaron did some good casting there, but he actually does agree with Vivian a little bit. The Mistress of Mystery is a brunette. She is not a redhead, and he will not budge on that. Period. And her voice needs to be strong. So he suggests that they actually use Shannon, the original voice actress for the Mistress of Mystery, to dub over Claire's dialogue in post-production. That would be, as he says, the best of both worlds. They get their saucy little redhead eye candy on screen, and they get the cool, calm, confident voice of the Mistress of Mystery off screen. Apparently that flies well with Aaron, because a few days later on the 20th, he sends an email to Tina Hopkins and says, look, Tina, baby, we need those new lines yesterday. Apparently Tina has been sitting on her laurels. She hasn't been motivated to do any more writing for the television version of her beloved Silver Shroud. I don't know how you do things in radio, he says, but we've got catering, Foleys, best men, and actors sitting around on their tushes because of your recent delays. We're not writing Shakespeare here. Come on, Tina, baby, this is TV, right? She has been complaining about all sorts of new changes. It's not just the casting of Claire as the Mistress of Mystery. It's not just the new English butler, but apparently they're putting in a new monkey. I guess we can assume that it's Jangles the Moon Monkey, because we do find a Jangles on the top floor of the studio. The focus groups love the new monkey, but they don't like Claire in that brunette wig. And Claire's agent doesn't love the wig either. Aaron says, look, I know that she's supposed to be a brunette, but we're getting rid of the wig. To add insult to injury, Shannon, the radio voice of the Mistress of Mystery, has been standing in for Claire on the TV set while Claire wraps up shooting on her latest film. But then he says, you know what, Tina, it may be best if Shannon just isn't around when Claire arrives to be our new star on the big screen. You're gonna take care of that, right? Thanks, Tina doll. Of course, Tina's response is predictable. The very same day, subject, I quit. Effective immediately, I quit. You can explain to Petey how you lost the lead writer for the Silver Shroud. And after everything Shannon has put up with, if you want to fire her, you do it yourself. She says that a competitor to Hubris Comics, Manticore, has been wanting to hire Tina for years. And she says that she's gonna go there. Incidentally, this is the outcome that Evans told Aaron he liked best. Evans, who I'm assuming is the lawyer for Hubris Comics, says, look, Tina is part owner of the Silver Shroud franchise. She can pretty much get her way if she really wants it. The only way she can't get her way is if she walks. And what does Tina do just a few days later? She walks. She had the upper hand, but she gave it up. She could have pressed things even further because she was part owner of the franchise, but maybe she didn't know that she could press things even further. Ultimately, the producers got exactly what they want. Tina is gone. They no longer have to deal with her perfection, her wanting to stay true to the story. They can fire Shannon Rivers, the original voice of the Mistress of Mystery, as soon as they're done with her because she's still filling in for Claire. And everything is golden. The top floor contains a lot of great loot for this particular dungeon. You find the Silver Shroud costume, which includes both the coat and the hat, on a mannequin towards the back of the room. This is what you turn into Kent to continue with the Silver Shroud questline. There are a few optional things that you can give to Kent. There's a silver submachine gun prop behind the backdrop on the top floor, which incidentally is being guarded by a glowing one, so be careful. On the second floor, you can find a Silver Shroud photo, which looks a lot like a baseball card. It's just a bit of memorabilia that I believe Kent pays you caps for. In the bathroom on the top floor, we find Astoundingly Awesome Tales number 4, which increases damage of the alien blaster by 5%. Interesting. And the Grogneck costume, sitting on a locker shelf towards the exit. This costume increases melee weapon damage by 20% and grants you +2 to strength. It's a great little piece of armor earlier in the game before you find fortified legendary armor and before you have a lot of chems and aid that increases your strength. It's great for increasing carrying capacity earlier in the game. Well, that's quite a story, but what did we learn? Well, we learned that transitions are hard for many people. Tina was used to the comic book and radio worlds. Her heart was wrapped up in it, so much so that she just couldn't see the transitions that were necessary to bring the Silver Shroud to the television screen. Both Tina and Vivian had their hearts in the right place. They loved Shannon. They wanted to play right by Shannon, but they just weren't thinking about it like producers. That was Pete and Aaron's job. The girls were thinking with their heart, and the boys were just looking at the numbers. They were doing all of the screen tests. They added an English butler because it tested well. They added a talking monkey because it tested well. And they hired a young, beautiful, saucy redhead actress because, well, she looked great in the costume, and she tested well. Here we see a couple of purists standing for what they believe is right against the cold, stark, unforgiving reality that they have to live with. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. The bombs dropped just 3 days later after Tina's I quit email, ending Hubris Comics, ending the Silver Shroud, and likely ending the lives of all of the characters in this tale forever. Their struggles live on only as digital artifacts on long-forgotten computer screens. And that is the full story of Hubris Comics. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I will get to the whole Silver Shroud side quest in a later video. But it's good to understand what went on here at Hubris Comics before we go any further. What do you think about this whole drama? Do you side with the girls, Tina and Vivian? Do you sympathize with Shannon, the original actress who portrayed the Mistress of Mystery? Or do you agree with the boys, Aaron and Pete? Would you make the same decisions they made, given the data they were given? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all of the comments you guys leave on my videos, and I use your comments as inspiration for my future videos, so thank you so very much for posting. If you like what I do here on this channel, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to my private Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I produce a new video every single day of the week, so be sure to tune in tomorrow morning to find out what my next video will be. I'll see you then, bright and early, with a brand new video.